Welcome back everyone to Crow Country. This is our final part of the trophy guide and walkthrough, and we're starting at the save point inside of Crow's office. Once you're finished making your save, don't forget about that code behind you on the wall. We're going to be needing it here shortly. We can exit this room and you can see that Natalie is standing there. We're going to have a quick little conversation with her. I do realize that a lot of this dialogue is pretty long. I'm letting you see the majority of it throughout the course of the gameplay, but coming up here, once we get to the ending bits, I'm going to be cutting a lot of it out. I know it's a trophy guide, so I'm not really spoiling anything by letting you see it, but it just takes a really long time. So once you finish talking to Natalie, go into this room over here and you'll see there are what looks to be dice on the floors. Try to avoid those for now. You can go and check out the camera feed. There's one on the right and one on the left. The one on the right, the creature looking through the feed can't really respond to you. However, the one on the left is a camera feed of our car, which if you notice there was a camera up in the corner of the area where we parked, so you can speak to Arthur. He's still sitting in the car. And once you're finished talking to Arthur, immediately to the right of Mara is a keypad. That's where we're going to be entering the code that we found, which again is 9218, and pull the handle inside of there. This shows that we have now supplied power to the central elevator, and when you go to leave, you will have your final mini-boss fight. This is mini-boss number 4. Again, he's not too difficult, and he nets you the Thorough trophy, which you earn by defeating all 4 mini-bosses. So if you did happen to step on any of the dice, you can come over to this panel and press the button to clear it. And in order to leave, we just need to step on these in the correct order, which of course is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that will open up the door to allow us to leave and re-enter Crow's office. Of course, we want to head back over here and make a quick save before we move on to the next area. We are getting very close to the end, but there are still a few things that we have to do. We have one secret left to find. If you remember in the bathroom in Crow Country, I told you there was something in the second stall from the left, and we need to go back and deal with that. We have what we need now to take care of it. And we also have to find our way to the central elevator. So there's one more little, I guess, puzzle area that we need to tend to before we can access that elevator. So when we leave here, if you walk, you shouldn't trigger the enemy to the left. We can go back over to the theater area, and if you take the lift down, you can actually exit out through the doors. Those doors have been locked for this entire time, but we can easily open them from the inside. Do be careful because there are new enemies that have spawned in here. You can take care of them or run past them. It's your choice. So we can just break that stick to open up the door. And you can see the theater is on the back side of Fairy Tale Town. So we need to head back to Crow Country. There are lots of enemies in this street area. Just be careful. And when we get back to Crow Country, we're going to have to speak to this police officer. As you can see, based on their dialogue, you can tell that Mara is probably very, very young and most likely isn't a police officer, especially since this guy doesn't know her. Now there, when you have a choice of what to respond to him, it doesn't matter what you pick. I did choose to tell him where Natalie is, but it doesn't affect anything. The same thing still happens regardless of what your answer to him is. So don't worry too much about that. Once the dialogue is finished and you have control of Mara again, we want to head over to the bathroom. There is an enemy in this room, and there's also a hanging chandelier. So be aware of that before going inside. And really, you should probably take this enemy out, and you'll see why in just a minute. Here, I was trying to lure the enemy over to drop the chandelier on him, but it didn't work. Go into the second stall, use the acid on the pile of bones, and when they melt, you can collect the secret magnum ammo, earning the secret hunter trophy. And as you can see, I died. So I just transitioned over to doing this again. And I took out the enemy before using the acid. So yeah, you probably want to take out that enemy first. I just happened to get the trophy when I died, so I kept it in. Next, we're going to make a quick stop at the train station just to make a save. But our next destination is back over in the Ocean Kingdom. That's where we're going to do our final puzzle area. And it's pretty quick and pretty easy as well. So here I've made a save. I highly recommend that you do as well. And if you still have healing items that you can use, you can go ahead and heal up if you like. Just make sure that you do not use more than 7 heals. We have to stay under 8 heals to earn a trophy, and the large med kits do count as 2 heals. An antidote counts as 1, and the small med kit also counts as 1. So just keep that in mind. I personally kept a tally of how many times I had healed, just so that I could be absolutely sure not to go over. So once you're finished saving, we need to head over to Ocean Kingdom, and there is another door that we can use the gold key on. Again, there are new enemies that have spawned here. You can choose to take them out or run past them. It is completely up to you, but there are some larger enemies in here that have spawned. I chose to run past them, but you can do as you like. Come over to the control room. It has a golden door handle, and you can use the gold key to unlock that door. Inside, you'll see there's a control panel, and you'll hear a phone ringing. So go ahead and answer the phone. Very cryptic as usual. And if you open the pizza box, you get a little dose of reality. Now, when you try to interact with the panel, you get a message saying that Mara needs help to operate this. So when we leave, we want to run to the right and go into, I guess this is kind of like a garage area where shipments would come in. So head into this door. And right now there are no enemies in here. It's our first time in. So you can go ahead and explore everything before leaving this room, because once we come back, there will be enemies. This is what we need to do. It's a little diagram showing a battery that is dead versus a battery that is full and a large crow. So that's your hint as to what you need to do, which we know about the crow in the middle of Crow Country. However, we do have to find a battery. You can walk up to this crate and open it up, and you'll find Julie inside. Speak to her, exhaust her dialogue, and when given the option, ask for her help. So once you've completed speaking to Julie, she's going to go into the control room, and we need to head into the Seven Seas. That's the one area that we haven't gone into yet because it was full of gas. That room is now clear of the poison gas, so we can safely enter. It is straight ahead on the left. In here, just go around through the ropes, and you want to board the boat. It doesn't matter if you go in the 1, 2, or 3 slot. Just pick one and go sit on the boat, and then you'll see Julie is there at the control panel. She'll operate the boat for you, and we can head into the next room. You'll see there's a whale blocking the path forward. So just exit the boat, and you see there's a treasure chest on the left. Go up to the treasure chest, and inside push the button 3 times so that the 3rd light is green. Then we want to cross over to the other side, and there's another treasure chest there. We need to do the same. Open it up and push the button 3 times, and you will see that a mermaid pops up. Go inspect the mermaid, check inside, and we can take the battery from inside of her. And there is our battery. Now we just need to charge it. Turn around, pull this switch, and it's going to open up a door on the opposite side. When we go through that door, we're back in the control room, and Julie is now gone. And unfortunately, it looks as though there may have been some foul play. So now that we have exited this area, we need to go back to the right into the area where we found Julie in the crate. If you notice, there was an elevator in that room. We need to go over to the elevator. It is now dark in here. I'm not sure why. There will be enemies inside. Just try to avoid them and head to the elevator. Here I didn't go far enough. I went into this little room, but there should always be shotgun shells in here, so it wasn't a waste. there's not really much that we can do in here except collect the shotgun shells. So once we leave, we need to go to the right and board the elevator that will take us to the underground. This takes us to the southwest. So it should be an area that it's going to look like all the rest of the underground, but I'm not sure that we actually came through here just yet, at least not all the way. When you look at your map, you'll see the entire underground. And where we need to go is the one room on the right side, the southeast. We need to go over there and check out that room. So once we exit the elevator, we want to go to the right, make our way over to the cart. There should be a gasoline tank right here every time. So get into the cart and ride over to the other side. Now on this side, we need to enter Route Tuesday. Be careful because there are electric beams that are blocking the path periodically. But Route Tuesday is the first door on the right. And in here you can see there's a machine with some clamps. So walk over to the clamps, insert the battery, and then turn around and hold down the button, and you can watch the little screen on the battery to see when it is fully charged. Once it turns green, let the button go and go collect the battery before leaving the room. Now once we leave, we need to go to the right to exit, and you'll notice there was a I think it's a spindle enemy that's there. You can use the beams of electricity to your advantage when you are going through this area. You can try to bait the enemy to come toward you, and the beam of electricity should take care of them. There have been a few times where I've seen them avoid the beam like that. But if you just run a little bit further, they don't seem to pay any mind to the electric beams. So if for some reason they make it through all of them, you can just use your weapon, obviously. It is also very easy to die if your timing is off. But luckily, we only have to go through a few of these because we need to enter the southeast elevator to get out of the underground. And this takes us back to the save area in the Haunted Hilltop. So you can stop and make a save if you wish before we move on, because once we insert the battery into the Crow, we are in the final stretch of the game. So here, if you want to take a minute to collect yourself, we know we need to head back to Crow Country. And we need to insert the battery into the large crow that's in the birdhouse right in the center. And once we do that, we're going to be in a completely new area that we've never been in before and don't have a map for. So exit to the Haunted Hilltop on the side where the Witchwood is. There should not be any enemies here anymore. I'm not exactly sure where they went or why. Once you get to the birdhouse, go around to the opposite side and push the button that is on the side of the birdhouse. This is going to turn the crow around, and be careful because there is something shooting darts at us. So just kind of try to keep moving and be aware that that can happen. I went to the wrong side, so go back to the left. Push the button again to turn the crow back around to where he's facing out of the house, then go to the opposite side and push this button, and it will initiate the crow walking sequence. And once that's completed, we can enter into the house, and there's a ladder inside that we can descend to go into the next area. Once you enter this room, it is completely full of enemies. You can take some of them out if you wish, but the purpose of this is to go to each side of the room and press a button. So on the left and the right, there's a button, and then it opens up the gate to enter the next area. In here, you're gonna see the police officer that we met earlier. He has unfortunately been killed. So you can have a little bit of dialogue about him. And you can see she basically, everything that he did, she took it and made it her own. You know, being a firearms expert and a police officer and all that. So she now has his card. And we enter into this room, and pretty much all you have to do is shoot these lanterns. As you shoot them, depending on how many are lit up, it will determine which gate comes down. Now the number 2 one, you can shoot them again once they're lit, and they will be put out. So if you want to get that handgun ammo, you can, but it's not necessary to continue. Just make sure that you have at least 7 lit up. Well, if you do 8, it doesn't do anything. So it has to be 7 for you to progress into the next area. And once we get here, we're going to run into Tolman again, and you'll see me make a cut because there's a lot of dialogue right here. By the time you get to the end of it, Julie is now here as well. And you'll send them to go and tend to Arthur and to go talk to Natalie. Meanwhile, we're going to continue on. So knock down this gate. And when you get here, this is a spring that actually completely restores your health, and it doesn't count against you as for using a healing item. So be sure to use the pool before we move on, because the next area that we're going to enter is the final area. As you can see, I'm pulling out my Magnum and loading it before we descend the ladder. I am going to speed this up because Mara going down this ladder is very, very, very long, and there's no way to speed it up during gameplay. Once you get to the bottom, you can check out everything in this room. There are photos of everyone that is in the park or has been in the park recently, including the police officer who's now deceased. This is our final save room, so you'll find all the usual things in here. There's a phone, but the phone is off the hook, so we cannot do anything with it. We're just going to leave it alone. You can thoroughly explore this room. The very last thing that I'm going to do in here is save, which you may not see anywhere to save, but there's a Bunsen burner on that table, and when it makes the flame, then you're able to save. You can open up this curtain and see where Crow has been living, which is really pretty sad. So we don't open up the envelope for Natalie. But we also don't take it. I would think it would be something we might want to give to her. Someone has sabotaged this elevator, so we cannot use it. You can interact with the intercom if you like. But first, we're going to head over to this shower. And once you turn on the shower and hold it down, you'll see that Mara's purple hair gets washed away. And she does look a little bit familiar now. Once you've cleaned all the purple dye out of your hair, you can walk over to the intercom. You'll speak to Mr. Crow, And you'll see he refers to her as Elaine. And if you've been paying attention, you know Elaine is the girl who was attacked 2 years ago, and that she is the reason why the park got shut down. So Crow is going to ask you to walk over and collect all the vials that are on that table. You'll take the vials and you'll leave behind all of the items that you've collected over the course of your game. So you're not going to need any of these things anymore. Although some of these items, I don't know how she still has them, like the battery and the chain. She shouldn't have those. She left them. The crow couldn't walk without the battery in its back, so I don't know how she still has them. Anyway, after that little bit of nostalgia, you can come and talk on the intercom again. Crow will open up the door, and before we go through, to the right of Elaine, you want to light the Bunsen burner and make the final save of the game. Hopefully you are fully healed. You used the pool and got a free heal. And now we can head into the final battle. So here you can see Mr. Crow is sick. He's going to talk for a very long time, so I'm going to cut most of this out. And when we get to the end, Crow will give you a piece of paper, and we're going to take a look at it when we can access our inventory again. For now, we just wait for Crow to fall backwards into the pool. He is going to say, if for some reason I come back, take me out, and we are definitely going to have to do that. So as you wait for these roots to descend into the pool, you'll see this is sort of like a small boss arena. I'm going to stay in this area. You can get rid of those traps if you like. First, I'm going to look at the inventory. It says 2106, uninhabitable ruin. We come 1988. Last chance, warn, stop, change. So we kept seeing 2106. That's what it is. It's the year that these creatures are from. I'm going to use the Magnum. We've been saving it this entire time. We haven't used it at all. We have all the ammo possible in the game because we found every secret cache of Magnum ammo. This creature, this crow creature, is very easily avoided. Just try and pop off shots at him when you can, and you'll see the pool starts to turn more and more bloody. Keep moving around, and when he descends into the pool, he will stick out one arm and will kind of swipe at us with it. So now I've used all the Magnum ammo. I'm going to switch over to the shotgun. When you see the blinking red, you need to get out of that area because rocks are going to fall. Again, run around to avoid the sweeping arm. You can kind of stand still for just a second to bait him to swipe. And when he pops back up, you can shoot again. He is definitely the most bullet spongy of all the enemies in the game, but not really difficult. At some point, you will shoot, and he will get a text bubble, and he'll barely say that he wants you to make sure to keep your promise. So he'll just sit there, he won't fight back anymore, and it doesn't take much to get him completely out. So from this point, you'll see that we are infected, and we have the option to use a vial. Once the vial is used, we have a cutscene that shows we have escaped Crow Country Everyone that is still alive has a vial, and Elaine will say the same thing she always says before saving throughout the game. So we were able to save Julie, Natalie, Tolman, ourselves, and Arthur. There were only 5 vials. So Crow could not be saved at all. For all the parts that I cut out, basically, Crow explains that the creatures that have been coming through the pool that he was calling guests, they are actually humans from the year 2106. And they are coming back in time to 1988 to warn people to change something, that basically the world they're in is uninhabitable. And they're using these roots as a method of travel, but when Crow and his father started cutting them up and pulling the gold out from the inside, it messed up the portal. So that's why they look the way that they do. Once the credits roll, we earn the complete trophy. That is for completing the entire game. And then we get to see how we fared. The results: we used 7 heals, no hints, we found all 15 secrets, and we used no lives because we turned off the extra lives. So our final rank is an S, which means we get the trophy for earning a B rank. And we also earned the trophy for earning an A rank. And finally, we also earned the S rank trophy for getting the highest rank that we possibly could in the entire game. And that earns us the coveted platinum for getting every trophy in the entire game. So here in just a second, we're going to find out what bonus items we've earned. If you want to do another playthrough, you do get bonus items for earning B, A, and S rank. So for B rank, you'll get a crowbar. For A rank, you get a Crownade launcher, and S rank gives you crow wings. So if you want to play through again, you do have these perks that will make beating the game easier. And I also think if, let's say, you got an A rank and you play again using the Crownade launcher, it will not count against you to earn the S rank if you haven't gotten it yet. Also, there is a crow quest. It looks like a mini game where you find these crystal crows all throughout, and you have to find them all. So those are some fun things that you can do if you want to replay, or if for some reason you did not earn the S rank, you can go back and try again, and you have these extra things that you can do as well. So my overall feelings for this game, I thought the gameplay was really good. The map is a little awkward to get used to because when you enter a room and then exit the room, the camera angle is always pointed differently than where you entered, so it can be a little bit confusing to keep in mind where you've been and where you need to go. But it was very classic survival horror. The way that the map is set up and the movement style, as well as the pixelated visuals. But I like the vibe in general. I also like older sorts of survival horror games like this, so I know I'm a little bit biased. I liked the story. It was a little bit predictable. It was pretty obvious in the very first scene that Mara Forrest was not actually Mara Forrest, and the more you learn, the more you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely Elaine. She's coming back here to handle some unfinished business, let's say. I thought there was a good twist with the guests and the roots. Finding out that these creatures are actually people from the future who are trying to come back and warn us to stop doing whatever it is that we're doing. And it was, you know, a good commentary on greed, the fact that they were mining the gold from these roots. And, you know, he says he kept one for posterity, and basically he scoffed at that because now he knew exactly what the roots were for. But yeah, it's a good commentary on greed, because he did continue to harvest the roots even after the first guest came through and could speak a little bit and told him, you know, why he was there. He didn't stop. He continued to mine the roots and had firm confirmation of what exactly was going on. His greed still pushed him. So I thought that was a nice part of the story that I didn't see coming. And it was also nice to see that Crow spent, you know, the last year or so trying to reverse engineer a cure for this sickness. He knew he had gotten sick, and he knew that Elaine had gotten sick, and he was only able to make 5 vials of it over the course of, you know, when he started to now, but he did manage to save lives, and I think that is a pretty good story. Not everyone made it through, but overall, Crow did the right thing in the end. I thought this game is pretty simple, it's fun, and if you have PlayStation Plus Extra, it's free. So definitely worth the time, and a somewhat simple platinum to get. So I want to thank you all so much for watching. Please be on the lookout for my next trophy guide. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet, but I have a few things in mind, and I hope you can hit the subscribe and like button while you're still here if you haven't forgotten. That helps the channel grow and will help you to know when something new is coming out. So until next time, Khajiit always has wares.